How's everyone doing? Good, I hope. I want to talk about the Atari VCS and emulation, and how I think, it's one of the best things about the Atari VCS, the fact that we can emulate pretty much any game I want, Well, with my Atari VCS, I have 8 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of storage, right? And I have 2 thumb drives. One has 20 gigabytes and the other one has 100 and something gigabytes. So I've got plenty of storage for the sort of games that I want to play. Now mostly the storage is for games that are purchased through the Atari VCS store. Because when I'm emulating a game through Chrome on my Atari VCS, it doesn't save it, so it's not using up any memory. So I understand. I could be completely wrong about that. But when I'm, for example, I was playing Hexen for the PS1 there on my Atari VCS. It was emulating it through a site called PS1 Fun. Now, even though you can save your progress in the game Hexen in PS1, there's no memory card to save it to. So it doesn't save anything onto the Atari VCS internal memory. So I assume, based on that the only time I'm using up storage on my Atari VCS is if I'm buying games through the Atari VCS store, or if I'm installing apps and other things like that. So when it comes to emulation, I'm no expert, but I like it. I like it. I mean, the fact that I can play Mega Man 2 for the NES, then I could be playing Hexen for the PS1, then I could be playing Wolfen Doom, which I just discovered there a while ago, to play minigames, which is all my word on Chrome. And on that site, play minigames. It's all just go to Google and Chrome, play minigames. You have a whole lot of games, say Mega Drive games, DOS-box games. Brilliant, really. And that's just one site out of many on the Atari VCS through Chrome. Now, I'm not using PC mode or Windows 10 or Ubuntu or Linux or anything like that, because I don't have the skills to put that in there, and I don't want to risk damaging my Atari VCS. So people are saying that I'm not getting the full use out of my Atari VCS. That might be the case, but I'm still having fun regardless of what I have, and that's what's great about the Atari VCS also, that you're going to have a good time playing games on it if you like playing retro games, and you're going to enjoy the experience. Now, with my experience through Chrome emulating games, some games run better than others, but there's always a better online emulator than the last one. That's my experience, which is a good thing, because certain emulators run better than others and they play games better than others. That's just my experience, Now, there's so many online emulators with retro in their title that it's hard to keep a list of them all. But, for example, I go into Chrome on my Atari VCS, I type in retro games online. Now, I always put games online or online at the end of everything. Let's say if I'm looking for a system or a game, I always put the words online. And 9 times out of 10, it gives me 4 or 5 different online emulators to choose from. Some will run better than others, some will allow me to use the Atari VCS controller, some will allow me to use the Atari VCS joystick, which is awesome, But by default, I'll be using the keyboard, unless I map out the controls myself. Or some emulators just, once it detects the gamepad, it sets up a configuration for you, but you can change it if you wish, which is awesome. Now, there's a joypad icon when you're playing these games. If you click that, it'll come up with the layout where you can choose what button does what. Now, some emulators don't recognise the left thumbstick as a directional pad, nor does it recognise the actual D-pad on the VCS controller as a D-pad for whatever reason. But some emulators it does. So that's what I'm saying. And now sometimes some emulators, the face buttons, A, X, YB, right? Sometimes it recognises them buttons as a D-pad. So it's different with each emulator, but most of them recognise the VCS controller without having to do anything. But some you have to hit that joypad icon to map out the controls. But it's dead easy. Once you do it once, you'll be doing it pretty much all the time. But you can save your settings so you don't have to do it later. So I like that. And a lot of these emulators have settings that you don't get on consoles. Like you can apply shaders to make it look better. You can show the frame rate of the game on the screen. You can make it 16:9 or 4:3. The aspect ratio. Some emulators even allow frame skipping. Like if someone has a bad frame rate, if you enable frame skip, it makes it run faster. Even though it's not meant to, it looks sort of funny, but games that have a slow frame rate, I find, if we enable frame skip, it makes it run better. So these are things that you can't do on a console. You know what I mean? So I love emulation. Now, there's so many online emulators. So that's my advice. If people are going to emulate games on their VCS like I do through Chrome, if you don't want to, if you don't want to upgrade your Atari VCS, or if you don't have the skills to do so like me, and you're afraid of breaking it, that's the main reason I don't want to open my VCS, because my Atari VCS is in pristine condition, and I don't want to open it up and mess it up because it's good enough for what I want. We can play games from the N64 all the way back. And above that PS2 GameCube, I have to upgrade it. So I don't want to. Look, I'm afraid of damaging it. That's just me. But so it's awesome. Now, some people say, are probably wondering, is that illegal to emulate games on your Atari VCS? I don't think so. Once you're not downloading these games onto a disc and selling them yourself, in my opinion, if you do that, then you're crossing the line. Because that's technically you're stealing someone else's game and selling it. But if you're just downloading these games and playing them, the way I understand it, now I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. So, when you're emulating games through Chrome, it's like a library. You play it, you put it back, and that's it. You don't really own it, but you can play it as long as you have access to the internet. Because you're paying for the internet anyway, so it's not technically free. But it's awesome, I think. In my opinion, I think it's way better than buying a used Sega Mega Drive off eBay, getting a bunch of games. You have to wait for a long time to arrive. You have to hope that it's in good condition. Whereas with the Atari VCS, you're emulating a game digitally. All you have to have is a decent internet connection, and you're away. But you also need a keyboard and mouse if you are going to. Now, you can use the Atari VCS companion app, but you can't use that to actually control the games, because there's no directional arrows on the VCS companion app, which I think Atari should update that, so you can use the VCS companion app as directional keys for movement, but there's no directional keys on the Atari VCS companion app. So yeah, keyboard is a set. If you're interested in doing emulation like I am, which I think is a great feature, especially if you're waiting for a game to arrive on the Atari VCS store. It's a great way to play some old games. Like Batman for the NES, I was playing that the other day, and it's brilliant. You know what I mean? And it's awesome in my opinion. So yeah, they're just my opinions and my experiences with emulation on the Atari VCS through Chrome. That's one of the main things I do on my Atari VCS. So if people are wondering how it works and should you feel nervous about emulating a game, do you think you're doing something wrong? No, like I said, in my opinion, once you're just playing these games and you're not downloading them onto a disc and selling them, then you're okay. Yeah, but it's just with the Atari VCS, time and patience is the key. If you have that, then you're going to have a great experience on the Atari VCS. If you don't, well, you're not going to, because certain games take longer than others to load. Some of the games load just like that. Some you have to wait for a few minutes. Some even have ads, but it's free. So in my opinion, it's worth it. You know what I mean? Because we can play hundreds and hundreds of games now, particularly first person shooters. I like, and just like hundreds of games that never came out in the consoles, like Heretic, which is the game that came out before Hexen, that was never released on consoles. There's a whole bunch of Terminator first person shooter games that never came out on the consoles. I can't remember offhand what they were called, but there's a bunch, and pretty cool, like, you know. And there's a lot of stuff like mods and stuff like that, like Ultimate Simpsons Doom and other games. But just keep exploring, keep searching, keep typing in variations of words with the word online at the end of it, and chances are you find something that you never thought you'd ever find. Sometimes by accident. That's how I found these games, like Wolfen Doom and Ultimate Simpsons Doom. There's even a Sonic the Hedgehog Doom, which is pretty cool, and there's a Mega Man Doom as well. So like, these are all games that, like, you know, aren't on the consoles as far as I'm concerned, as I know. And it's awesome, but you have to use the keyboard to play these games because they're all running on the DOSBox emulator. Now, the Atari VCS has a DOSBox emulator, but Atari seems to be only putting on flight simulator games and sports games from Microprose, which I think is a studio of theirs. I just wish they'd put on better games than that, but that's just my opinion, you know. So yeah, I mean, yeah, the Atari VCS is awesome. As you know, in my opinion, if you love retro games like me, then this is a great option, in my opinion. Yes, you could probably find a more powerful PC for a cheaper price that can do the same thing, but it won't look as awesome as the Atari VCS, and you won't have access to the Atari VCS store and all the games around there. So like, yeah, I mean, and like, it's awesome in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, I think the value is there with the Atari VCS, and like, you have Xbox Cloud Gaming, you have Stadia, you have all the streaming apps you want. So I mean, you know, like, seriously, I mean, I'm using my Atari VCS more than my Xbox Series X. I just got the Switch OLED, and I'm using my VCS more because all the Super Nintendo games, all the NES games, all the N64 games that are currently on the Switch online service right now, we can play on my Atari VCS, emulating it. So that's it, like, you know. The only thing that the Atari VCS lacks, in my opinion, is exclusive games, something that sells like millions, or like a Mario game or a Sonic the Hedgehog game, something like that. That's the only thing that's missing. But I say eventually, hopefully, they get something like that. You know, I'm hoping. See, Microsoft bought Activision, and I'm hoping that some of the Activision games show up on Xbox Game Pass. Now, if that happens, we'll be able to play them games on my Atari VCS with Xbox Cloud Gaming. So, if the Atari VCS can get Call of Duty on it through the Xbox Cloud Gaming app, that'd be awesome. You know what I mean? But will that happen? I don't know. We have to wait and see. I thought by now, see, Microsoft bought Activision a while ago, so I was hoping by now we'd see something, but nothing yet. Because when Microsoft bought Bethesda, within days we were seeing Doom and all the other Bethesda games fall out on Xbox Game Pass. So Call of Duty is really the only thing that's missing on the Atari VCS. Now, I'm sure there's probably a way to play through PC mode, but I don't think it'd be running the game as good as the Xbox could. I think you'd have to reduce the graphical settings of the game, like Black Ops Cold War or Vanguard, to get it to run. But if they could get it through Xbox Cloud Gaming, it'd stream it properly, in my opinion. So they're my opinions on emulation with the Atari VCS. I think it's awesome. Whatever option you choose to do, if you want to use Windows 10 or whatever, or if you don't have the skills like me through Chrome, just go to Chrome, go to Google, type in whatever you can think of by the words online or games online, and you'll find something. Like I said, every emulator runs differently and have different controller options and different games. So you'll find something the more you look, and patience is the key. And if something doesn't work the first time, reload it, and chances are it'll work again. So things have bugs. That's just the way it is, So I hope everyone has a good day. Take care and bye bye.